Hello. Now, you might think farming is all about enormous tractors, deafening noise, and spraying chemicals on everything that moves, and, well, a lot of it is. But there's another way, a method that people are calling organic farming. It's this idea that you can grow things without waging chemical warfare on the planet. Instead of nuking the soil into submission, you work with it, you nurture it, you persuade it to give you food. It's supposed to be a more sustainable, gentler approach to feeding ourselves. One that doesn't leave the earth looking like a barren moonscape. It's a bit like trying to train a wild animal instead of just shooting it. Difficult, but apparently rewarding. So, how does this whole mud and virtue thing actually work? It's not just about singing to your carrots and hoping for the best. There are actual, proper methods involved, clever techniques that have been around for ages, but are now being rediscovered. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most important ones. We'll look at everything from the glorious art of making compost to the surprisingly brutal world of flame weeding. It's not just theory, it's about the practical side of things, the actual tangible stuff you do, and crucially, we'll look at the kit. Because even if you're trying to be one with nature, you still need machinery. It might not be a 10-ton satellite-guided behemoth, but you need tools to get the job done. We'll explore the specific equipment that makes these organic methods not just possible, but efficient. From clever little seeders to water-sipping irrigation systems, this is the gear that allows farmers to go green without going completely broke or insane. So, stick around. You might just learn something useful, or at least be entertained by the prospect of setting weeds on fire. Right, first things first, soil. You can't grow anything decent in dead, dusty ground. In conventional farming, you just chuck a load of chemical fertilizer on it and hope for the best. But in the organic world, that's cheating. Here, you have to build your soil up, make it rich and alive. The main way to do that is with compost. This is essentially a pile of rotting stuff, kitchen scraps, animal manure, grass clippings, you name it. It sounds disgusting, but to a plant, it's a Michelin star meal. It's packed with nutrients and it improves the soil structure, making it a happy home for worms and other useful creatures. To do this properly, you can't just leave a pile of old cabbage leaves in a corner. You need to manage it. This is where the compost turner comes in. It's a machine, often pulled behind a tractor, that churns and aerates the pile, speeding up decomposition. Think of it as a giant mechanical whisk for your rot. Once your compost is ready, a dark, crumbly, sweet-smelling substance, you need to get it onto the fields. For that, you use an organic fertilizer spreader, or what we used to just call a muck spreader. It flings the compost evenly across the land, giving every inch of soil a good feed. And it's not just about compost. There's also green manure, which is where you grow a specific crop, like clover or vetch, just to plow it back into the soil. This adds nitrogen and organic matter. And then there's mulching, spreading a layer of organic material like straw or wood chips over the soil. A mulcher machine can chop up this material into the perfect size. All these things work together to create soil that's not just a medium for holding plants up, but a living, breathing ecosystem that feeds the crops naturally. It's a lot more work than opening a bag of chemicals, I can tell you that. One of the biggest blunders a farmer can make is growing the same thing, in the same place, year after year. They call it monoculture. It's like eating nothing but cheese sandwiches for your entire life. Eventually, you'll get ill and weak. The soil gets exhausted of specific nutrients, and pests and diseases that love that one crop build up until you have a full-blown plague on your hands. The organic solution is brilliantly simple crop rotation. One year, you grow potatoes, the next you grow beans, then maybe wheat. Each crop takes different things from the soil and puts different things back. It keeps the soil balanced and confuses the pests. To do this effectively, you need precision. When you're planting, especially if you're mixing crops in a practice called polyculture, growing multiple types together, you can't just scatter seeds about. You need a good seeder, a machine that can be calibrated to plant different types of seeds at the right depth and spacing. Some modern seeders are incredibly clever, able to plant multiple rows of different crops in a single pass. You also need row markers, which are simple but vital tools that create a guide in the soil, ensuring your rows are straight and evenly spaced. It's the difference between an organized, efficient field and a chaotic mess. Then, once the crops are growing, you have to deal with the weeds that grow between them. In a polyculture system, you can't just blanket spray with herbicide because you'd kill everything. This is where inter-row cultivators come in. These are machines with small blades or tines that are carefully guided between the crop rows to slice up the weeds without harming your precious plants. It's a delicate mechanical dance. It requires more skill and attention than just driving in a straight line with a sprayer. But the result is a healthy, diverse field that largely looks after itself, reducing the need for drastic interventions later on. Now for the big one, pests and weeds. In a normal farm, if you see a bug, you spray it with something that has a name you can't pronounce. If you see a weed, you do the same. It's effective, yes, but it's a bit like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. In organic farming, you have to be more of a cunning general than a brute. The first line of defense is encouraging natural predators. You create habitats like beetle banks or wildflower strips to attract ladybirds, lacewings, and spiders, which then go out and eat all the aphids for you. It's biological warfare, and your soldiers work for free. Sometimes, though, nature needs a helping hand. If you do get an infestation, you can't reach for the nasty stuff. Instead, you might use something like neem oil, a natural extract from a tree that messes with insects' life cycles, or other plant-based repellents. To apply these, you still need a sprayer, but it's a dedicated one, used only for organic-approved substances. It needs to be precise, delivering a fine mist to cover the leaves of the plants without drenching the soil. It's about targeted strikes, not carpet bombing the entire county. And what about the weeds? This is where things get really interesting, and frankly, a bit more fun. You can, of course, use good old-fashioned manual weeders, which are basically long-handled hoes. It's back-breaking work, but undeniably effective. However, for a bit more panache, you can use a flame weeder. This is a brilliant piece of kit. It's essentially a flamethrower on wheels. You roll it over the weeds, and the intense heat ruptures their cell walls, killing them instantly without disturbing the soil, or harming the nearby crops if you're careful. It is immensely satisfying. It's pest control with a touch of pyromania. You wouldn't go out in winter without a coat, and an organic farmer doesn't like to leave their soil naked either. Bare soil is a disaster waiting to happen. The wind blows it away, the rain washes it into rivers, and the sun bakes it into a hard crust. The solution is to keep it covered. One of the best ways to do this is with cover cropping. This involves planting a crop not to harvest, but purely to protect and enrich the soil during the off-season. Things like rye, oats, or crimson clover are sown after the main harvest. Their roots hold the soil together, preventing erosion. When it's time to plant your main cash crop, you have to deal with this cover crop. You could just plow it in, which is fine. But an even cleverer method involves a machine called a roller crimper. This is a heavy chevron-patterned drum that you roll over the cover crop. It doesn't cut the plants. It just crimps their stems at several points, which kills them without uprooting them. They then die in place, forming a thick natural mat of mulch on the surface of the field. It's an ingenious way of terminating one crop to create the perfect bed for the next one. This mat of dead plants is a form of mulch, and mulching is the other key part of this. As well as using cover crops, farmers can spread other materials like straw, wood chips, or compost over the soil surface. This blanket suppresses weeds, conserves a massive amount of moisture by reducing evaporation, and keeps the soil temperature stable. To spread it evenly, you can use a mulch spreader. And of course, you still need your basic tools like rakes to tidy it up around plants, and sometimes a tiller to work it into the top layer of soil at the end of the season. It's all about tucking your soil in and keeping it safe. Water. You can't grow anything without it, but using it stupidly is one of the biggest wastes in agriculture. The old way of just flooding a field or using massive overhead sprinklers that spray water everywhere is incredibly inefficient. A huge amount of it evaporates before it even hits the ground, or it runs off, taking your precious topsoil with it. It also gets the leaves of the plants wet, which is an open invitation for fungal diseases like blight and mildew to set up shop. Organic farming demands a much more sensible approach to hydration. The star of the show here is drip irrigation. This is a network of tubes or tapes laid along the crop rows, with tiny holes or emitters placed right at the base of each plant. Water is delivered slowly, drop by drop, directly to the root zone where it's needed most. Almost none is lost to evaporation or runoff. It's the difference between having a pint in the pub and having someone throw a bucket of beer over your head from across the room. One is pleasant and effective, The other is a wet, sticky mess. Drip systems are the key to growing more crops with less water. To be even more clever, farmers combine this with other water-saving techniques. Rainwater harvesting is a big one, collecting the runoff from barn roofs and storing it in large tanks or reservoirs for use during dry spells. And to make sure you're not watering when you don't need to, you use technology. Soil moisture sensors are small probes you stick in the ground that give you a real-time reading of how thirsty the soil actually is. They can even be connected to an automated controller that turns the drip system on and off, ensuring the plants get the perfect amount of water, exactly when they need it. It's smart, it's efficient, and it saves a phenomenal amount of a vital resource. So, there you have it. 5 ways organic farming actually gets done. It's not about witchcraft or chanting at the moon. It's a system of thoughtful, interconnected methods designed to work with nature rather than battering it into submission. From building up living soil with compost, to fighting weeds with fire, and giving crops a precise personal drink with drip irrigation, it's all about being clever. These techniques, when combined, create a farm that is more resilient, more self-sufficient, and much, much kinder to the world around it. It's a closed-loop system where waste becomes a resource and the health of the soil is paramount. The equipment, as we've seen, is crucial. The compost turners, the precision seeders, the roller crimpers, and the moisture sensors aren't just tools. They are the enablers of this entire philosophy. They allow farmers to implement these sustainable practices on a scale that can actually feed people, proving that you don't have to douse the planet in chemicals to have a productive farm. It takes more thought, more skill, and arguably more passion than the conventional route. But the result is food grown in a way that doesn't cost the earth, literally. Ultimately, what you choose to buy and eat has a real impact. By supporting organic farmers, you're not just buying a carrot, you're casting a vote for healthier soils, cleaner water, and greater biodiversity. So next time you're at the shops, maybe have a look. Learn a bit more about where your food comes from. Ask questions. Because the more people who understand and support this way of farming, the more we can encourage a future where agriculture nourishes both us and the planet. And on that profound and uncharacteristically optimistic note, thank you for watching.